Hey guys, Vazzy back here, and in today's video, we are going to be continuing our retro NHL games playthrough, today's game being NHL 15 on the Xbox One. So if you guys have been following this series, we went from NHL 15 all the way to NHL 2002, all of the EA NHL games on the Xbox consoles, but I just realized we did NHL 15 on the 360, but we never looked at the train wreck that was NHL 15 on the Xbox One. So that is what we're going to be doing in today's video, and just seeing, was it as bad as everyone says it is, and what was missing, what was lacking, and how did this game play in general. So on the main menu here, definitely very stripped back. This honestly should have been the main menu. The play now, play online, playoff mode, be a GM, be a pro, obviously Hockey Ultimate Team, and you have the NHL moments, which was kind of cool. Going over to the rosters and settings tab here, I believe, yeah, this was the game that actually didn't have a soundtrack, which was super weird. It was just the generic NHL theme, which still is in the game currently today if you don't like the soundtrack. But yeah, that's the only option that we had for NHL 15 on the Xbox One. Let's go and view some of these rosters here and see what this game had to offer. I just want to go back there and show, look at all the leagues that we have here compared to what we have in NHL 25. It is a vast downgrade from what we currently have, and it's just, yeah, it's shocking to see, you know, these older games and what they look like back in the day. So let's go and look at the Ducks here. I don't know why it was kind of glitching there. Let's go sort by overall for all these teams. So Getzlov at the top there. Let's go over to Arizona. Martin Erat. I don't know why that's not sorting properly there. Oh, now I'm sorting it by position. Let's go overall again. Keith Yandel now at the top. Michael Bodker, OEL. And it's kind of dumb it doesn't actually stay sorted. Okay, so I'll do this for a couple of teams anyway. You have Chara there, Krejci, Bergeron. But yeah, just thinking about it now, looking at some of these rosters, it's crazy to think that this game is now more than 10 years old. Like, where did that time go? It's actually insane. Looking at there, Jerome McGinley on the Avalanche, Nathan Horton when he played his one season in Columbus before, unfortunately having to go on to the LTIR for the rest of his career. Looking at the Oilers here, this was the year before Connor McDavid. Obviously 2015 was the draft where McDavid went to Edmonton, but is not on the roster just yet. Continuing on, anyone really here of note? Nothing too crazy. Preds, nothing. Yager there on the Devils when he was going from team to team there at the end of his career. Go take a look at my Tampa Bay Lightning. What did they have to offer here? So 93 Stammer. Yeah, team's looking good. Shout out to when Brendan Morrow was on the team. It was a weird time. Kucherov at an 81. You can see he's elite, but you can't actually see if it's low, medium, or high, which was just kind of dumb. Bad UI for this game. Was Vazzy in this game? Bishop Nabokov, so he might be in the AHL, but I'm pretty sure his other 15 or 16 he debuted in the series. Going over to one that I know a lot of people have been waiting for, going to Toronto, Phil Kessel leading the way, Dion Phaneuf at an 85. So definitely a rough era of Leafs before the Marner and Matthews time. And last couple teams here, Winnipeg, Washington, Vancouver. Yeah, very cool looking at some of these rosters. Again, 10 years old, there is still some of those players that you'll see in current day games and stuff, but some of those players now have obviously moved around. Going over to everything here, let's go to NHL Moments Live. So NHL Moments Live, the exact same thing that we currently have in Hockey Ultimate Team today. Just basically go through a popular scenario or situation that has happened in the real NHL in, the past few years, or something around a player in an X Factor, and you can replay that in game. It sucks I can't actually look at 14-15 because you had to download these moments. But yeah, obviously now found in Hockey Ultimate Team, and I honestly think that's probably a better spot for them than just being an extra mode. At least in Hockey Ultimate Team, you can earn more rewards. It makes more sense to have it tied in that way than just have it on the main menu where people may not play it as often. So what else do we really have to look at here? Play now, we're going to save that for the end of the video. Let's go jump into GM mode, and this was really where the tragedy of NHL 15 started, at least in my mind. Growing up, I played this game a lot on the 360, and that was definitely one of the better games of this year's series because it's so similar to NHL 14. But when you look at next gen and you look at what everyone had to play with at that point, if you did make that jump, everything was so stripped down and there wasn't really anything to do here. And it was really a disappointment. So looking at the user interface and just the general HUD here for NHL 15 on the Xbox One, you can tell it's very, very stripped down. There's not many options here. Like, you have 3 options here where, like normal games, you would be scrolling down for at least a couple more things. You go to updates, you have the activity feed, which obviously we still have, but obviously it's kind of tucked away now. You have trade and improve, you have manage roster, which was kind of funny. Like, they have the Syracuse Crunch there as your AHL team, but to my knowledge, and I know Tactics made a video on this, I believe this time somewhat last year, and you can't actually do anything with the AHL team in franchise mode. Like, if I try, I can't do anything with the AHL lines, so I don't really know what happens with those players, but yeah, I found that in his video. I'm like, that's so weird. Like, how do you not even have that league in franchise mode for you to control? And yeah, just a lot of oversight, stuff like that. Going into manage budget here, obviously it just kind of has everything to do with your contracts. This is before owner mode came in. You can see everyone's who's expiring, but the issue is you still can't send out any contract extensions. That would come a couple years later. And yeah, I don't know. There's not really much else to show off here. Like, I guess we can go do a sim speed test here, as I like to do in a lot of these games, just to see if they match up with current day. Let's see here. So we have a bunch of pop-ups here at the start of the year we can just get through. Scouting assignment. Let's continue on here to the regular season. Jason Garrison, you just go best lines. Oh, maybe I did manual lines. I think they switched the option, so best lines is now current days at the bottom, where at that option it definitely wasn't. You had your old scouting system here. This, I want to say, was until NHL 18, and they revamped it in 19, where you had to select a region, and you had to literally go forwards in the WHL for 6 weeks, and that would cover it that way. So you don't really have your individual scouts that you would send out to one particular region. So yeah, definitely just one of those things. You can tell it is a game from, a past era here, even though it's only 10 years. A lot of stuff was done differently. And yeah, so there's a quick look at everything in the sim. We can go and take a look and see if there's any AHL scoring, but I'm pretty sure there isn't. So sorting everything by the NHL, Stammer leading the way. But yeah, there is no option here for me to switch to AHL. Which, yeah, I don't know how you don't have that. And when this game launched, you didn't even have an NHL draft. I don't know how stuff like that happens. Imagine you want to draft McDavid first overall. It's his draft year. You can't even do that. So here's a quick look at franchise mode. Unfortunately, very stripped down, in a very poor state, and honestly, should not have hit the shelves in the way it was. So last thing I think we need to look at here today is the gameplay. Don't expect too many differences here. It is a modern, or somewhat modern, NHL game. It should still play pretty good, at least compared to, games from the early 2000s, which there is some differences for sure. But let's go jump into this game. I'm going to let the presentations play out just how cool they are. I will meet back to you guys once the game has started.
Tampa, Florida, where the waters lead into the Gulf of Mexico, and where the hockey team's fan loyalty runs deep. Their team is home tonight. Their team is the Tampa Bay Lightning. Along with Eddie Olczyk, Mike Emmerich right before game time here. It's an interesting sport in that sometimes your best players only wind up playing a third of the time, but boy, do they ever make a contribution.
And that's why the other 2/3, Doc, have to be important. Team game, hockey, that's exactly what it's all about. But when you have star players, those are the guys that get the meat of the minutes, the most important minutes in order to allow you to win hockey games.
Stamkos is probably going to be one of those guys, Doc, that gets on the ice in those high-pressure situations. Expect to see him get those crucial minutes.
And now we turn to the last lines of defense, the goalies. Ben Bishop, the goalie of choice for this contest, and a good choice it is. A huge presence at 6'7", 214, and at 28 finally got a chance to prove his value as a clutch goalie for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Foss, the goalie again. He'll man the crease like he often does, looking to give a solid performance for the Oilers.
And honestly, that to me is the only real saving grace about NHL 15. To be able to get the NHL on NBC license is so cool, especially for its time. I get nowadays that you kind of have to evolve as the NHL isn't on NBC anymore, but still, very cool, and would like to see something go back at least in a similar direction. So getting into this gameplay here, let's pass across. Hey, and there we go. Kicking things off with an early goal there from Ryan Callahan. But overall, this game, it definitely doesn't feel as good as current day games, with that being a 10-year gap, but it doesn't feel bad as well. It's more or less what you would expect from an NHL 25 that's stripped down, doesn't have all those super, in-depth features that we currently have today, but definitely not bad as well. Let's go and jump into a little bit more gameplay here. That was very quick, scoring a goal right off the bat. So Filppula on the draw there. Does not win it this time. But let's go see if we can bury another one here before we call it a wraps here for today's video. Huge save there by Ben Bishop. Let's see. Kucherov takes it up. You can feel the speed on him. He's not going to be able to get around the defender. Does a spin-a-ram out of nowhere. Come on, Kuch. Huge save there. Backdoor pass, and there we go. Valtteri Filppula. Another goal. Yeah, so honestly, if you're going for gameplay, I wouldn't say it's awful. I just wouldn't recommend NHL 15 in general, just because there really isn't much else to this game outside of that. So, there we go. Looking at gameplay, I think that's really the last thing I wanted to do in today's video. We can go through the menu here quick. Obviously, play now, everything is good. Online, we can't do. Playoff mode, who cares? Be a pro, it's just very stripped down version of pricey pond hockey. And then, yeah, nothing else there in the customization tab. So that is going to do it for today's review of NHL 15 on the Xbox One. Definitely a disappointment. Definitely should have been held off a year. They should have just had NHL 15 on the 360. And then once they were ready, once the game was in a better state, made that huge jump to next gen on NHL 16. But that is just my take. Very curious. What are your guys' memories with NHL 15? What do you think of the game overall? But that is going to do it for today's video. I will see you all in the next one.